Travis Scott had been releasing music since he was 16. His earlier work was influenced by his love of hip-hop and R&B. He was steadily gaining traction as an up-and-coming artist. In the days before the release of his debut project, Rodeo, Travis Scott was already creating a buzz around him. His appearance on songs with fellow Houston natives T.I. and Bun B put his name on the map. Scott was gaining exposure by participating in a variety of mixtapes, featuring on tracks with the biggest hip-hop acts. He was featured on songs from Drake and Future, furthering his rise. In the weeks before the release of his album, Travis Scott was making his way across the country, performing in venues and gaining an even larger following. He was determined to make Rodeo a success. Scott was becoming more prolific. He released a string of pre-album tracks including Antidote, Maria I'm Drunk, and 3500. Antidote includes Scott's first #1 on Billboard's R&B/hip-hop airplay chart. During this time, Travis Scott was seen out more, performing shows and being featured in music videos and interviews. His energy was contagious, and he seemed unstoppable. He also announced himself as the executive producer of Rodeo, assuring those loyal to him that his album would be just as amazing as his earlier work. Fans were anxious for Travis Scott's debut album to drop and they weren't disappointed. It was met with critical acclaim and earned a spot in the top 5 of the Billboard 200 chart. In the days before the release of Rodeo, Travis Scott was making a name for himself. His hard work and determination were paying off and he was being recognized for his talent. His unique style of rap and his ability to connect with fans had set him apart from the rest. Scott was now a certified artist and he hadn't even released his debut album. Scott was featured on a variety of collaborations that showcased his unique sound. From Uptown alongside K-Camp to Nothing But Net featuring Young Thug. He even ventured into other genres, appearing on the track Never Catch Me with jazz pianist, Flying Lotus. His potential seemed limitless and his response from fans was exciting. He was grabbing the attention of big music tastemakers like T.I. and Kanye West, cementing his position in the music industry. In the days before the release of his debut project, Travis Scott was producing and featuring on tracks, all of which would appear on Rodeo. It was clear he was putting a lot of thought into the album and he wanted to make sure it was perfect. In anticipation of Rodeo, Travis Scott started an official Instagram and Twitter account. His sudden presence on social media attracted many of his fans and he was able to connect with them even more. He also released promotional materials to promote the album, including the artwork, lyric videos, and trailers. It was clear he was almost ready to make his debut. As the day of the release approached, people were talking about Travis Scott and Rodeo much more. His rise to fame seemed unstoppable and surely this would be the moment that he cements himself in the music industry. In the final days leading up to the Rodeo release, Scott announced a series of live shows slated after its release. He was determined to promote his music and show the world what he was capable of. Travis Scott played shows all over the country and by Rodeo's release, he had already the anticipation for his debut was higher than ever as people waited to see what would come of it. As the day of release for Rodeo approached, Travis Scott took to Twitter to thank his fans and reassure them that it was going to be his best work. It was clear that he was proud of what he had created. On the day of the official release, Scott dropped the album and it immediately became a hit. His fans had been waiting for this project for months and they weren't disappointed. Almost immediately, Rodeo was being streamed to fans all over the world. Travis Scott had created a project that was unique and captivating. It was an instant hit. People everywhere were praising Scott for putting together such a well-crafted album. His energy and storytelling made the album stand out. Within the first week of release, Rodeo made it to #1 on the Billboard 200 chart. This was the first time Travis Scott had made it to the #1 spot and he was celebrating. It wasn't long before everyone was talking about Travis Scott and the success of his debut. He had made a mark in the music scene and it clearly wasn't going away anytime soon.